friends. Welcome to Dads and Daddies, a podcast about the lives and times of adult gay men in the here and now. I'm Brian Ruben Sowers, the dad.
And I am Judson Morrow, the daddy.
Judson!
Reunion!
Judson and I have not seen each other.
It's so good to see you.
For 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And he just arrived at my house. And typically when Judson arrives, he and my husband Toby have a nice catch-up. And it frustrates me every time because I think, you're taking away from what we're about to talk on the podcast. So I did not let them. This is literally the first conversation that Judson and I have had, with the exception of very few texts exchanged in the last 3 weeks.
I told Toby I would see him in September.
You can see him as soon as we are done recording. But we have so much to catch up on. And so today is going to be our second of our Friendly Fire with Brian and Judson episodes, which is just you and me catching up. So I did not want to waste it on my husband.
I understand. There's a lot I don't want to waste on my husband.
And by waste, that was a joke, Toby. Judson, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Dude, I'm so good.
Oh, good.
I'm like content and chill and relaxed and happy. Yeah, I'm really good.
So you are back as of yesterday.
I arrived back in New York City from 2 weeks in P-Town.
Yes.
Yesterday evening. And here's what was really awesome. Our neighborhood friends hosted their pizza sex party. So it was like a very soft landing. Like I made it back to Brooklyn. I picked up some groceries so I would have food in the morning. And then I like moseyed on over to this sex party, which I think is a good way to cap time in P-Town.
I love that. I missed that party because, as I will explain, this summer has already been insane. And this weekend was my third in a row out of town. And the next two are also out of town.
It can get crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think just for gays. I think for people in general in the summertime, like shit gets stacked.
Yeah. Well, especially with kids, it's so much easier to have plans than to not. And so, especially when you're in a cold winter and you're looking forward to this season of just being able to have freedom and in so many ways, we book so many things. And this year, we made a concerted effort not to overbook ourselves like we did last summer. And I don't really know what happened because
I've actually been in the same position.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm like, I'll be in April looking at June and say to myself, nope. And then June arrives and all of a sudden I have a thing every fucking night.
Yeah.
Which, let's not get it twisted, grateful.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Picture yourself at 13 and you're like sitting at home on a Friday night and you just feel like an absolute fucking loser.
Right.
And now it's like, well, either I have this opportunity to go out and spend time with friends, or if I do decide to stay in, it's not because there was not another option. It's not because no one asked me to do something.
It was a choice.
It's like a really nice problem to have. And I try not to forget that.
For me, those nights happened often in my 20s.
Well, I was like wildly alcoholic. So
Right.
I'll just go the fuck out.
I eventually built up the confidence to take myself out, and some of my best nights out in New York were nights that originated as me taking myself out, and I would make like best friends for the evening.
Totally.
But there were many a night where I was like scrolling through the Rolodex, like, who would not think me a loser for approaching them right now to see if they want to go out tonight?
9:00 on a Friday. What are you up to?
So in 3 weekends, we will then have 3 consecutive weekends that do not have travel.
That's great.
And I feel like that's 3 more than last summer. So that's a victory. But right now I'm in the thick of it. It's been a lot. But I can't wait. I want to hear all about P-Town.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I want to thank you. I thanked Brian over text while I was away for the episode that was his and Toby's idea about gay vacation anxiety. And I put myself, so the way that one can arrive in Provincetown, Massachusetts from New York City is to take the Amtrak train up to Boston and then walk to the ferry downtown and take a 90-minute boat ride to Provincetown. I say that because I put myself mentally on the boat on the return to Boston.
We talked about that on the gay vacation anxiety episode. Like, think about where you want to be on the other side.
How do you want to feel when this is all over?
Right.
And I thought to myself, I want to get good recovery. The meetings are so strong in P-Town. It's incredible. All day, every day. So there's options like 7 o'clock, noon, 5:30. I want to spend good time with my husband. I want to go to the beach. I want to go to the pool. I want to read my little books. And honestly, like sex came in at like 8th or 9th. 8th or 9th. So in deprioritizing it, like I would get on sniffies from time to time, never for very long. And if I was able to connect, I was able to connect. And if not, there were just so many other things for me to spend my time on. And because of that, like I felt calm, I felt confident, I felt happy with how I was spending my time. Even the week that I worked there, like my actual job remotely from Provincetown, I was like very happy and content.
I love that. You look amazing.
Thank you so much. Someone last night said my tan looks fake.
Which is like the biggest compliment.
Which I was like, and what I realized too, okay, guys, I'm not a healthcare professional. So like, please be careful with how much time you spend in the sun, I guess. I don't know. But I feel like a 2-week tan is like 6 months of working out.
Right.
I'm just going to tan.
You look amazing. Don't go overboard. We don't want you to become tan mom.
Yeah.
Tan daddy. But you look amazing.
Thank you.
Love
I
this
feel really
orange
good.
and yellow summery outfit that is there's highlights of orange and yellow throughout everything you're wearing. I love it.
I have a Sunday supper to attend after this, and I just wanted to be very clear that I'm a homosexual.
Yes, that is clear. And you're bringing the sunshine. I love it.
Thank you.
Are there any highlights that you want to talk about?
Wow. The biggest highlight is really being conscientious about how I was spending my time and not being super boy crazy.
Right.
But everything just kind of, my husband and I got along super well,
Nice.
Staying in a space that is quite a bit smaller than a space that we normally share, which again, lucky, we have the time, we have the money. You know, one thing that I want to point out to our listeners, because we do talk about gay vacation anxiety, we do talk about sex tourism, but there is a cost involved. It's like these things do cost money. I'm not assuming that everyone can get 2 weeks away from work. I'm not assuming that everyone can afford to do this.
Right.
But I do want to make it really clear that the time I spend in P-Town is part of a budget. Like we do financial triage, and I have to make decisions between how and where I'm going to spend my time and my money. And for me, P-Town is something worth saving for. So I do not want people to be put off by the price tag necessarily. I just think it's such a marvelous, magical, beautiful place. Like it was Bear Week the second week that we were there, and I had never been there for Bear Week, and everyone was like so nice, so cool, so hot. I'm having a hard time readjusting to life in Brooklyn because I want to just be like, hi,
right.
hi to every single person you walk by, because life isn't like that.
Right.
But you get like, my face hurts from smiling, just like smiling and saying hi to people for weeks.
I love that. I'm very excited. So Toby and I have not been to Provincetown in over 9 years.
Oh, it's so good.
And we've only been the one time. And we didn't have the best experience of it. And we've always known that we needed to give it another chance. And that was when our eldest was, I think, not even a year old. We did not take her. It was just the two of us. And it was 4th of July week. So it was particularly inundated and with a much more diverse population, meaning there were a lot of straight people around.
But to be clear, 4th of July week is, yes, there are a lot of straight people, but it is also on the tail end of circuit week. So you get a very specific type of gay guy too. It's like a very strange
so we just
combination.
Love it. There were things we loved about it.
Yeah.
Especially in contrast to Fire Island, which has like very few venues.
Correct.
Provincetown has so many venues and so many restaurants. And I love the culture of the performers advertising their own shows, at least 9 years ago, in the street during the day, handing out flyers.
Yeah.
I love that. So there's a lot I loved about it. But access to the beach was more challenging than at Fire Island. The pool culture is less than there is in Fire Island.
You mean people like with pools at their house?
Yes.
Because there are so many venues anymore, like hotels, that have pools.
Yeah.
So they have daytime pool parties.
Yes.
And we went a lot.
Okay.
Like that to me, I think
covers that.
Trump's Fire Islands,
Right.
because very few people in P-Town have an actual pool.
Right,
I think
exactly.
there's actually like 4 properties that have pools. Someone told me that one time. But if you want a pool during the day, there's like a very cute scene at all of these hotels.
So what we've been told for years is that Family Week, because Provincetown almost every week of the summer has a theme.
Mm-hmm.
That Family Week is a must-do if you have kids. And so one of the things that I am dealing with as I speak to you today is that we are sending off our oldest daughter to sleepaway camp tomorrow.
Is this the first time?
For her first time. She's 9.5. She's going for 3.5 weeks of sleepaway camp. This is a daughter who we describe it kindly as she's thoughtful. She thinks about everything. She overthinks everything. But she's really, you've said, her emotional intelligence is really, really high.
Yeah, I remember, just quickly on that, I remember when she was at our house. It was either for my dad's memorial or for Shabbat dinner, one of the two. And she came up to me in the kitchen and she goes, "Your home is so beautiful." And I just thought, like, what 9-year-old knows to say that to an adult gay man? She's really smart.
Like, for somebody who overthinks everything, which can lead to anxiety, she has not expressed any anxiety about being away for 3.5 weeks.
That's good.
She's just excited. No, it's amazing. And I'm so proud of her, and I'm excited for all of us. But like, anyway, so we're dropping her tomorrow. So we are taking just our younger daughter, who is 6.5, with us to P-Town for Family Week. So from what I understand, some of these pool parties you're describing are 21 and over, but I think some will make an adjustment for Family Week. Think and hope that some of them will.
So, the pool specifically at Provincetown Inn is a family pool during Family Week. Yeah, good to know.
So hopefully we'll have some pool time. We've booked to take her to see Tina Burner because she just watched Drag Race All Stars with us, and so she's excited to see Tina Burner. And then there's some drag queens doing shows specifically targeted for families. Paige Turner is doing a family-friendly drag show, and I know there's the organizers of Family Week have organized some drag events, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And we've hired a babysitter for every single night we're there, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., so that we can also go off and have our fun.
Fucking genius. Like, I hear how you manage parenting, and I'm just like, wow, they really have it figured out, because it's your vacation too, right?
Yeah.
I see families on vacation and I think to myself, no. Like, no. The cost, the hassle, like, are we creating memories or like
speaking
resentments?
So you spent the last 2 weeks in Provincetown.
Correct.
And this last week, when you were there for Bear Week, we were back here in New York. But the 2 weeks prior to that, we were away. And we divided it into 3 parts. The first part was visiting my father in Utah. The second part was visiting my mother in California. And then we spent 4 nights at Disneyland in Anaheim, the original, because I am a Los Angeles boy and I grew up at Disneyland, not World. And Disney World, to me, is so overwhelming. And my joke is that I will take my kids there when they're worth it. But I know how to navigate Disneyland. And, because I don't consider myself a Disney gay. I mean, I'm Disneyland obsessed, and I love Disney. And usually every Disney movie I'm there opening night, yes. But I don't speak in Disney. There's no tattoos. If you follow Disney gays on social media, I'm not one of them.
Okay, that makes sense. But like, for me, as like a non...
Sure. Well, compared to you, if there is a spectrum, I'm definitely towards the extreme from you, but yes. That being said, I'm a fanatic when it comes to Disneyland. And so that means that this was my older daughter's 6th trip, my younger daughter's 4th. And we do it over, like I said, 4 nights, 3 days in the parks. We stay on property so that you get all the benefits of that. You get early entry into the parks, whatever. And I'm never happier than when I am planning a Disney trip. I mean, I have literally an Excel grid for every day. We have I get up. Reservations for all the restaurants go up, become available 60 days prior at 9 a.m. Eastern, and I'm not only on the site at that time, I've spent the previous several days rehearsing and like trying to get the reservations that I'm eventually going to want, because that's how nuts I am. but I got all the reservations.
I would like to just quickly revisit your previous statement.
Okay.
I'm not a Disney gay and raise you Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. Maybe I am. Anyway, I put so much into planning these trips. I love these trips so much. And I will say that and the reason I do them for 3 days is because inevitably, as much as I go into it with the highest of hopes and forgetting the previous trips, the first day sucks. We all hate each other by the end of the first day. Maybe not hate, that's a strong word, but everybody's kind of miserable by the end of the first day. And then the second day is perfect.
Wait, what makes the first day so miserable? Is it just like
I think
logistics?
we all go into it with like really high expectations in different ways.
Yeah.
I think my kids have different anxieties about different aspects of it. I think nobody wants to disappoint me. I think we're all just like tense in different ways. Also, the first night going into it, I don't think everybody sleeps well because we're all excited. So it's that first night after being in the parks all day that we actually sleep really well. So we're more well rested the second day. We've gotten over our initial, like, we're here, everything has to be perfect energy. And the second day is always perfect. So by the end of the first day, I thought, this is our last trip to Disneyland. I'm never doing this again. And then by the second day, I was like, can we extend the trip? This is so wonderful, And then the third day, we're all a little bit over it and getting in the things that we want to make sure we get in, but we're tired, but we still love it. And then the following morning when we were leaving, my younger one was in tears that we were leaving. The older one was like, why are we leaving? I can't believe we have to leave, So by the end, I'm already talking to Toby like, so when can we go back? But it was a roller coaster, and I'm not talking about the rides. It was like, my younger one was like, super fearful about rides, some of which she'd already been on and loved in the past. And so there were 3 rides I can think of. Well, 4 I can think of that we actually forced her on through tears. 3 of which, after the fact, she became obsessed with and just wanted to go on them again and again and again. And then there were rides that my older daughter used to love. Now they were causing her some anxiety. So it was just like a roller coaster in that way. But anyway, all that to say, Toby's, or I should say, our brother-in-law always says that parenting is saying all the time, it's not how I pictured it. And it was not how I pictured it. But in the end, it was perfect. But like you say, you see families traveling on these vacations. And it is, as much as this is my favorite place, all of our favorite place, we had an amazing time. It was a ton of work.
It is. I mean, it is a lot of work, and I don't see these families doing all of the work to get to the places. I just see them like in the thick of it, making the decisions, standing on the lines, waiting for food, whatever. I was thinking though, I asked my husband this, and I asked a friend of ours this. I said, "What's worse, being a gay teen in Provincetown with straight parents, or being a gay teen in Provincetown with gay parents?" And I think the consensus is it would be worse to be a gay teen in Provincetown with gay parents, because it's just like, Dad, stop.
As opposed to being there and just like yearning for it all and knowing that someday you'll make it true for yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Like, how awkward is it that your dad is like getting the trade that you want?
Right. You somehow sneak out at night to get to the TikTok, and there's your dad.
Oh my God. What? It's funny. Another friend was like, "Why would you bring your teenager to Bear Week?" And I was like, "Oh, no, this is hypothetical."
Right.
Like, I didn't see this happening.
Right.
But I did see, Provincetown is becoming, even in the time that I've been going the last like 5 years, it is becoming straighter. It's becoming straighter, but it is kind of, it's mixed feelings, because it's like you want these businesses to be supported. You want these businesses to be like making the money, but you also want queer people. Specifically, Provincetown is cis gay men and cis lesbians. There are very few places like that for us. Right. And there are thousands of places where straight families can go to buy fudge or get a tattoo or like buy a funny t-shirt. So it's like, dude, why here?
I know. I agree. And that's why that was one of the marks against it for us 9 years ago. And again, I don't think 4th of July week was the best way to judge it. But, Fire Island to us just feels like going back in time to when we had to find these separate places. And when you see a straight person out in Fire Island, they've been brought by and are
They're a
staying
guest.
with gay people. It's interesting to hear that. I guess it's good for me to know that going in, so I'm not like, still.
I will say this, like there is a level of respect. My perception is that like they know they're on borrowed turf.
Right.
Like no one is playing the asshole.
Right.
They get it.
Right.
They're like, oh, we're guests here. And you can kind of feel that. However, and my husband got more upset about this than I did.
Yeah.
There was so every day in Provincetown at a hotel / pool / events venue, there is afternoon tea. Yeah. This hotel is called the Boat Slip, and there's afternoon tea.
What time does one get to tea?
It's from 4 to 7.
Okay.
It's really popping between like 5:30 and 7.
Okay. But that's why we have the babysitter coming at 5.
But if you're like me and you like want to go out and feel like you socialized a little bit, like I'm also happy to go from like 4 to 5.
Right.
Where it's like not as busy and I can just like walk up to whoever.
Right.
My point in sharing this is there's tea every afternoon from 4 to 7. And one afternoon, a bachelorette party showed up.
No.
And I know he was not happy about it.
No.
A bachelorette party showed up and they had, I actually need to take a step back and be like, maybe this wasn't very respectful. Maybe they did not get the point. The bridesmaids, I assume that's who they were, and the bride had these sort of like cardboard cutouts of the groom, like on a popsicle stick, like a sign.
Yeah.
And they were like making gay guys like take pictures with them and their like popsicle stick future husband.
In like lewd.
Just like, oh my God, look what we're doing. And it was just kind of like.
No.
I was irritated by it.
Oh,
my husband was furious. He's just like, I need to go say something. Like, really, of all places, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Bachelorette parties and gay spaces in general is just, I find that so just frustrating.
I understand because we asked, like, I checked in with my nieces and they were like, yeah, but you guys don't understand. It's like, it's safe.
Yes, I get
like
the
it's
safe space,
and it's comfortable.
But it's also, you're taking away our safety. It's our safe space. And especially for you to then say like, oh, here, pose with this picture because it's funny that a gay guy is posing in this picture with this straight man who's about to get married. No, I don't like that.
Yeah. Okay, so mainly respectful. Mainly respectful.
Right.
With some outliers.
Wow. Okay. Shall we listen to this week's Hookup of the Week?
I would love that.
Okay.
Hookup of the Week.
So I recently hooked up with my barber, who is a straight man. And it all started about 4 months ago when I went into the barber shop. It was super busy, so he just like takes me to this back room and that's where I get my hair cut. And we're like tucked away. There's like no one around. It's just us. And so I think we're just being a lot more open with each other. And we start having like conversations about sexuality. And he ends up telling me that he has been watching trans porn, which he was pretty ashamed about. And I was just like, that's a part of you that you should just like embrace, like, and maybe just like explore. And it's not weird to like feel what you're feeling. And then fast forward 2 months later, he is cutting my hair again. And he tells me that he finally hooked up with a trans woman. As he's telling the story, he's like getting so horny. And honestly, so is I. And once he finishes my haircut, I'm the last client. So we're like talking outside. And then he looks at me and he's like, do you have 20 minutes to spare? And I was just like, no way you just said that. Because that's obviously what you two say is like the perfect amount of time for a hookup. And I just laugh. And then we are in his back room. And he's like, what do we do? And then I pull his pants down and we go down on each other. And it was honestly so hot and just like wild and random. And He had one of the biggest orgasms I've ever seen. It was just like so intense. And afterwards, I was just feeling so happy to be queer and gay because what do you mean this is like a random Tuesday? And yeah, I don't know. It just like wasn't lost on me also that it takes a lot of courage to sort of act on these, I don't know, just like moments. And I'm glad that I took the risk, that he took the risk. And like we got to experience something that was really fun. And I got a free haircut.
Hookup of the week.
And I got a free haircut. I love this story, especially because for a while, Brian and I had the same barber who we were obsessed with.
Yes.
Obsessed with.
Not a gay bone in that man's body.
No, like so painfully straight almost.
Yes. And Toby, you and me all went to the same barber that you introduced us to.
But also, like, he definitely liked our attention. Like,
yes.
when he got married, I think like 6 months after we started getting our haircut by this guy, and he shows me a picture of the wife who is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all. Like, he's a very attractive man.
Yeah.
He shows me a picture of his wife and I said, wow, she's really beautiful. And he looks at me and goes, what about me? I'm like, I mean, like, you're hot too, but like, oh.
Yes. There's a couple things that were said in this recording that I really loved. One of which is that thank you for being part of the mission of de-shaming and, you know, helping somebody feel comfortable with their, you know, their sexual interests. And I love that, you know, that I think, again, it is of the utmost importance that we remove shame around sex. So I wanted to commend you for that.
It's so cool that the barber like shared it in the first place and that this listener is like, yeah, man, that's normal.
Right.
You just need to hear it sometimes from somebody who knows.
Yes. And the other thing that I can relate to is God, it's fun to be gay. Just like, yes, a random Tuesday afternoon, you can be given head to your barber. Like, thank God that we are gay.
On a random Tuesday afternoon, you can be given head to your barber. So well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was kind of like my experience in P-Town because it's compact for a quote unquote city. So in between like work breaks, it was easy to like arrange things. People were never more than like a mile away. And I would just be like, just like this listener says, it wasn't lost on me. It wasn't lost on me that it was like Wednesday at 3:00 in the afternoon and that it was just so like easy.
Well, one thing I think, because I think we're speaking about it in a kind of glib way, but I think it's really true that we have an appreciation for fun that keeps us young and adventurous in a way that I think some of our straight counterparts just do not share. And we were actually talking about this as a family today because our daughters have such a love for each other. And my older daughter, the one who I was talking about, who's like, can be so thoughtful as to be prone to anxiety a little bit. And sometimes it gets in the way of her even enjoying Disneyland. She's really riding the line right now of wanting to stay a kid and wanting to be grown. But she was telling us how she's like the one amongst her friends who really still loves her little sibling and like enjoys playing with her little sibling, and all of her other friends who have little siblings complain about them. And we were saying, we amongst ourselves, patting ourselves on the back, that we think some of that has to come from the fact that like we really are always just like championing fun. And when we were at Disneyland, it wasn't like when a character came by. Disneyland has really upped their game, by the way, in terms of character interactions, if that's the thing you're into, which I am. Like, I got just as excited, if not more excited than the kids when a character would walk by. And like, if you follow me on Instagram, you see me hugging Mickey and like, you know, and I think we just like set this example of fun. And I don't know that, I think many of our friends see some of the stuff like that as like, oh, the domain of their kids. And we see it as all of our domain because we're gay guys who like to have fun. So yes, I appreciate that. Like 3:00 on a Tuesday can be given head to a barber because we're beyond shame, or well, not all of us, but but we've been shamed so much and have come out the other side to some degree. And we just want to have a good time.
We do really want to have a good time, and I feel like it's also part of the trade-off of it has gotten easier with time, but we have reported on the show and with multiple guests, like coming up gay, even now, like just isn't easy.
Right.
So for the trade-off of like all of that and all of the emotional labor and all of the just day-to-day bullshit of like making sure the dishes are washed and that we show up on time for work, it's like we do love to be out and have fun. And also, the reason that we spend so much time out in the world having the fun is because we need each other. Not to be cheesy and talk about community, but I like to spend a lot of my time. I spend all of my free time either with myself or other gay men. Yeah. That's it.
Well, there's two things there I want to say. First is that, I meant to connect the dots, which is that for the first 18 years of my life, I wasn't having much fun because of all the internal torture. So we're kind of like making up for lost time.
Yes, of course.
And the other thing is that we talk about this, Toby and I talk about this a lot too, and I think we've said it here on the podcast. We are not a minority that is born into a family like us. So like we are not raised necessarily, for the most part, by other gay people who are bringing us up in gay culture. So which most other minorities have that. You are born into people like you and who share a culture. So yes, it is very important for us to, like you said, like find community and be with those people as much as you can.
And that looks like going to tea as much as it looks like getting off with your barber at 3 p.m.
Yes.
I also really appreciate this listener's EQ is incredibly high because they said it's not lost on me how courageous it was of him to make the ask. Yeah. Which I agree with. Like we talk about that a lot. It can be really difficult to initiate because of the rejection piece. And this barber really put himself out there to satisfy a need, one that was also like really gratifying for the listener.
Yeah. And it sounds like really gratifying for the barber.
Yeah. I mean, I love listening. I don't go ask your dad. I will have Brian feed me before the show so I can think about it. But hookups of the week, I tend to just hear for the first time when we're sitting here. And I'm always like, hard.
And we hope you all are too. All right, let's take a quick break.
Great.
And then I have some thoughts about the sex I have had over the past few weeks.
Oh, delightful. Okay.
Speak with you about.
Yeah, we'll see you in a minute, folks. Welcome back, listeners. You're hanging out with Judson and Brian, Dads and Daddies Pod. Friendly Fire, Volume 2.
Yeah.
We're just chatting.
So, okay, first I will say that I'm feeling a little self-conscious. And so you'll have to keep me in check because I stay out of the comments when it comes to TikTok and Instagram Reels because I see the videos that we put up as kind of like teasers to attract new listeners to the podcast.
I feel that.
Yeah. And I think that the people who are seeing those and commenting on those from a negative point of view, I try not to take those on because I think, well, they don't have the full context. They don't know our relationship. They don't know our backgrounds. They don't know what we talk about week to week. That being said, I'm very interested in the comments that are left on the podcast platforms where people, I feel like, have listened to a whole episode. And we received a comment this week that I am tedious when talking about my hookups or being part of the parent association at the school. So if I... And the reason is, and that's a particular trigger for me because I associate tedious with annoying, and like annoying was like the main descriptor attached to me in middle school. And so it's the worst thing you can call me. I get insecure, and I don't necessarily disagree all the time. I feel bad though because that comment was posted just before our spirituality episode went up. And which was already recorded and edited at that point. And I felt like I got particularly tedious in that episode. So listener, if you're the person who left that comment, know that we had already recorded that episode and I couldn't make myself any less tedious. And I feel like the last however many minutes I've just been saying this, probably tedious.
But they were talking about, okay, so you had like one episode where we really went deep on the Parents Association, which I think was totally appropriate given what happened. As far as the hookup stories, yeah, like we can edit.
Well, just call me out if you feel like
I'm not going to say tedious, but like I also like I have an economy of language. Like am very quick in my descriptions. You remind me of my husband. Like you're like we get all the details. And it's like, okay, action. Yeah, got it. I'll keep you honest.
So yes. So all that to say that I don't mean right now to launch into a monologue, but so please interject, give me your thoughts, and call me out if I'm being tedious.
Brian, hurry it up.
I know. So yes, on that same episode, I was talking about my husband, Toby. He was away for business, and I was solo parenting. So our listeners who've been with us for a while know that my husband and I have a commitment to each other to have sex once a week.
Correct.
But they also know that I've reported now and again that sometimes doesn't happen for various reasons. And so he was away for business that week. When he came back, I was sick. And then he got sick. And then we went away on this trip, which was a 2-week trip. And he got better a few days into the trip. And so the first part of the trip was in Utah visiting my dad. And Utah in the summer is gorgeous. And my husband is never happier than when he's on a bike. And I am not happy on a bike, trying to get there. And so my dad has a good friend who lends Toby his bike for the week. And so Toby takes these, adventures. And I've known in the past on these trips that these adventures often include hookup, or at least a hookup per trip. But we hadn't hooked up for a while. And, we have our own bedroom at my dad's separate from the kids. And so I was trying to make something happen. And it was the evening after he had been out on his bike all day. And he said like, oh, I already came today, but, do you want me to give you head? And I said, no, that's okay. A little perturbed that he had prioritized a hookup, but also totally fine because he's in my dad's territory. And I know that brings, that's not easy for him. So we did something we had never done before. And I said, you know what? Actually, yeah, I do want some head. And he said, or maybe this happened in the reverse order. He said, do you want to see a picture of the guy that I hooked up with today? And so he goes into his phone and brings up the Sniffies conversation they'd had. And he shows me the guy. And because he knows I'd love to know about his hookups. And then he gave me head while I read the Sniffy conversation of his hookup.
That's amazing.
I've never come so fast.
That's so fucking hot.
It was, yes, it was so hot.
No notes. I think we needed all of that context. Seriously, I'm like, as I'm listening, I'm like, that sentence makes sense. That sentence makes sense. We're moving it along. Got it. That's so fucking hot.
In we've been together 13 plus years. We've been open for 11 plus of those. This was the first time we'd ever done that. And now it's like, that is now on my list of, we're going to go back to that at some point.
I'm going to try this too, because, my husband and I have had all the sexes at this point.
Yeah.
So incorporating something new would be cool. We had kind of a different setup in P-Town, and it was that we had sex together right before I got sick over Pride.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like sated, happy, whatever. And I also wanted, for me, I'm not going to say like, oh, I just wanted this for my husband. I wanted this for me too. The priority was independent hookups or sex as a threesome as opposed to his and my hooking up.
Sure.
Because it was kind of like a waste. It's like we have all this in Utah, it's probably a little different, but it's like, dude, we have all this trade just like walking down the street. Why would we waste our loads on each other?
Right.
Which I think hearing that out of context might be like, you know what, Brian, make it a clip.
Oh my God.
Let's get
TikTok is going to hate you. Yeah. No, I totally get it. And we're similar. Like when we are traveling, particularly to gay destinations, I think it is like assumed that, or not assumed, we actually speak about it. Like you need to go off and do a hookup, like more power to you, have the best time. Which brings me actually to my next story, because so all these stories are about like new experiences that I've had with my husband in the last few weeks, and which is like, I think really amazing and important to talk about, because we hear from so many people like trying to figure out the idiosyncrasies of their open relationships. And just in the past few weeks, again, after having been open for over 11 years, I feel like I've like unlocked all these new achievements that I'm like, oh, we can do that again, and we can do this again. And like, that was fun. And they were all different. So the next one,
Reading your husband's thread while getting head from him.
it was
Yes.
It
Yes.
was amazing. So there was that. Then from Utah we went to California. We were visiting my mom, and my mom used to live more central than she does now. She moved a few years ago, and ever since then, when we're there, we pretty much stay on campus with my mom, and it has become a little trying, particularly, you know, for Toby. Again, like I put him through a lot, being like,
This is the burbs. Like, let us not forget.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Los Angeles has lots of distinct neighborhoods, but then it gets really suburban.
oh no, this is the burbs for sure.
Okay.
And so we made a commitment that this trip we would leave the kids with my mom for a night, and we would go into town and like have a gay night out.
Cute.
And we had a really good time. West Hollywood, say what you will, it is a pretty incredible gayborhood in terms of just like venue after venue after venue after venue, and they're all full. And it's like, we went on a Sunday afternoon. It was the Sunday after 4th of July. And still at like 3:00, like they all had go-go dancers going. And it was, you know,
I have nothing but affection for West Hollywood.
Yeah.
WeHo, as
Yeah.
it were. I remember I was in 2 WeHo stories very quickly.
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was
Keep me
with
from being tedious.
I was with my husband in LA. This is maybe a decade ago, and we were walking down Santa Monica, which is the thoroughfare
Yeah.
through West Hollywood,
Yeah.
and there were just people like spilling out of boxers there.
Yeah.
And it was the gay kickball league's tournament after party.
Okay.
And it was so hot because these guys were like athletic and sweaty and like had been in the sun and like drinking a little bit.
Yeah.
So they were all like super fucking chatty.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, my best friends from grad school and they both live in LA now.
Okay.
I flew to the West Coast for Pride. We got an Airbnb in West Hollywood and did everything that West Hollywood Pride entails.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it was, I'm dead ass. I've probably been to like 6 or 7 different cities' prides.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
West Hollywood's is the best.
Well, it's really, I grew up in Los Angeles, and I went to college in Los Angeles. And so I came out in West Hollywood. That was my gayborhood when I first came out. And so maybe I didn't have an appreciation for it because that was all I knew.
It's amazing.
But I was like, this time I was like, wow, it is like, I couldn't believe the number of venues just right next door to each other. And they were all full, and so many different kinds of people. And so anyway, it was a really, really great afternoon. And so, you know, as you were saying, you know, when we travel, particularly to gay destinations, that's when I get most hopeful about a threesome, because, you know, I love a group. You know, I love sex with my husband. You know, all the compersion I feel, how much I love watching Toby with somebody else. So for me, there's nothing better than group activity, including my husband. But it's just not his thing. And it's happened over the last few years. But like particularly when we travel, Puerto Vallarta, it happened. London, it happened. Fire Island, it's happened a few times, you know. So we go out to West Hollywood. He goes to the bathroom for a moment at one of the bars, and I open up all the apps just to like see. And on Scruff, somebody hits me up who's really hot, and you know, we're going back and forth. But Toby comes back from the bathroom, and I don't mention it to him because I know like I don't want to like alter the mood, and we're having a good time. But after a while, this guy sends me pictures, and we're talking, and so I share it with Toby. And he's like, well, you should go. And I was like, no. This is, I want us to be together. And, you know, so we go to bar after bar. We're having a great time. But then it's like, we're at the last bar we went to, we had water. It was like, okay, we're done. We don't necessarily want to keep going out. And I forget which one of us, he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, there is this hot guy who's like literally, I think 400 feet away. Like, and and he's hemming and hawing, and then he eventually says, like, well, so what would that look like? And I said, I don't know. And I of the options I dropped, I said, you could watch us. And he liked that idea. And he said, okay, but I'm going to stay clothed. I'm just watching. And so I asked the guy if he was into that, and he was. And so we walk into this guy's apartment, beautiful guy. And he had said, like, so I'm going to be on my knees when you walk in. I mean, this was just like he was going to service me, and that was it. And so we walked in, he was on his knees, I got naked, Toby sat down, and watched. And again, it was so hot.
Look at these unlocks for you.
Yeah.
These are great.
And then he said to me, like, that's actually after the fact, after we left, he said to me, like, that's actually something I've been thinking of. And like, and so like, it was, I think, an unlock for both of us. So that was exciting too. It was like super fun. This guy was hot, and like, I was looking at him, I was looking at Toby, and Toby was like giving both of us encouraging words. It was really hot.
I love that. I love to watch my husband get fucked by other men. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Especially when they like don't resemble me in any way.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, okay, obviously.
Right.
Like I can't provide that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you can get it, and I like to watch. These sound really, really nice. Like, way to work it out.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really super fun. And so again, I was just like, also just kind of proud of us, just like unlocking these different options. So then we made it through Disneyland. We finally got home last week. We had one of our traditional hookups, which was amazing. It was the first time that, I had gotten fucked by my husband in, I think, over a month, maybe at that point. But it was really, really, really nice. And then fast forward to just last night. And we spent the weekend visiting friends, Hudson Valley adjacent. They have a beautiful house and an amazing pool. We took the kids. But again, we had our own bedroom. Kids had their bedroom. And I've been horny for my husband. And we have a date plan for a quote unquote date plan for tonight, which is what we call our hookups. But I was horny last night. And on the way to visit our friends, historically, we've our family of four has shared one room there. But now that they're old enough, Toby said, like, oh, well, maybe they'll take their own room and we can have our own room. And I said, oh, we were literally pulling out of the driveway. I said, oh, should I run in and get my douche boppers? And so I run back inside, get that. So I had in my head, like, oh, maybe we'll hook up this weekend. But Toby does not love, nobody really loves to eat, to hook up after like a big meal. And we went out for like a really extravagant meal last night, lots of glasses of wine. We were all stuffed. But it was our last night there. And so I was going to try to make something happen. And so we're in bed and making out a little bit. And I asked him if I could, put a stick in my mouth. And he said, sure. And I got him hard. But I know my husband, and I could tell like this was not going to go. I was not going to get the full show. And then, but my husband's amazing. And he turns to me and he says, will you jack off for me? And I said, yeah. And so I moved to the side to take off my underwear. And he says, well, no, will you do it on top of me? Which was my plan. And I said, yes. And it was just like super sexy, just like straddling my husband, jacking off on him. And so I just feel like we've had like I've figured out these other ways to enjoy sex.
Other ways to spice it up with your boo.
Yeah.
I'm going to do I've done a lot of these,
yes.
But I'm going to revisit. I have never gotten head from my husband while I read through his text thread, but I can see.
I'm particularly proud of that one. I think like
that one's good.
That felt original. I was excited about that.
That one's especially if it's a good conversation, like like chat, picture, chat, picture. If there's like some good dialogue.
The whole situation was so hot to me that, like I said, I came so super quickly. I'm not even sure I got the details of the conversation. Yeah. But also, it's funny. Toby jokes. We have our very first Grindr conversation, like the very beginning of it, printed out and framed on our wall. It's PG at that point, so the kids can see it. But he jokes, he's like, we don't talk like that. Like the tone. So like, I love even seeing my husband in those texts, like putting on this like sexy character that you do in?
Oh, with great frequency, I'll read through my conversations with people and think to myself, oh my God, I'm someone's son.
And you mean actual son? You don't
I mean like biological.
Yes.
And it's just like, I can't believe I am telling this guy I'm going to flood his pussy. Like, okay. Well, it sounds like you had a really nice string of hookups.
Yeah.
I had some really nice hookups in P-Town as well. They were all, I went in with this attitude like, I'm not going to waste a bunch of fucking time. I'm not going to take crumbs. I'm only going to hook up with guys that I want to hook up with.
Yeah.
And it's got to be pretty easy in terms of like the back and forth. And it was all of those things.
Yeah.
Because you get also in gay vacation towns, you get this. It's like, well, I'm doing this now. I'm doing this later. What about da-da-da?
Right.
And it's like, well, that's a no.
Right. Because it's just not going to happen.
Because later is going to arrive and your plan is going to change.
Yes. It's not going to happen.
I mean, if it's... I had one guy that was like, oh, I have work calls until noon and then I can meet you in the sanctuary and we can do it outside. And I was like, I actually trust that. I'm like, okay, it's 10 o'clock now. You're saying noon. I'm going to hang on till noon. Text me at noon. And he texted me at like 12:05 and was like, let's go ride our bikes and get there. And he fucked me while I kind of like hung on to a tree. And this other passerby just like jacked off at us.
I love that.
So great. I'm talking about when there's like a big gap of time.
No,
like you're texting at 8 a.m. and they're like, well, I'll be free at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
and if
no.
they start dropping like, I've got these plans with these friends and these plans with these friends, like, no, you're not, we're not, this is not happening.
I mean, the other thing that I wanted to comment on is like the distinction of sex positivity from house to house to house. I know that you've commented before, like in places like Fire Island, because it is so expensive, you ultimately end up like sharing the cost of a rental with like friends or other couples.
Yeah.
P-Town is very much like that.
Yeah.
Our stay was distinct this year in that we got a 1-bedroom just for the two of us. But historically, we've shared a house with friends. Anyway, there are some people who are like, well, I can't host because my friends are here. And then I had this hookup where this guy invited me over. He's like, I'm going to be on the porch having coffee. My roommates are here, but it's no big deal. So we chit chat while he finishes his coffee. We walk into the living room and there's 3 friends, like all just in different states of getting breakfast together.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is Tyler, this is Kevin, this is Jamal. And I was like, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys. And then we just went upstairs.
Yeah.
And did the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is that? That is the vibe that we created in our share house.
Yes.
That was, I remember last year, we had dinner together as a group and I was like, okay, we need to talk about the rules.
Yeah.
Like everyone can hook up at any time.
Yes.
Like with whoever, just keep the bathroom clean. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't get why it's such a big deal to like bring someone over even if your friends are there.
Right. I don't know, one of my last Fire Island trips, I had an early morning hookup with somebody and I went to their place and I walked by plenty of other people staying in that house and I felt judged by every single one of them. And I don't know if it was like they were judging their roommate because I was like number 20 of the weekend or what, but it was like it did not feel welcoming whatsoever.
I understand that, but I think like these guys at this house were all particularly nice. And I also wanted to be respectful of the fact that it was like 9:30 on a weekday. Like I'm not here to like ask you how your trip is.
Right.
Like you're just not ready.
Yeah.
And also I don't care. I just want to hook up with your friend and get the fuck back to work.
Yeah. We have a very interesting Go Ask Your Dad question today.
Let's hit it.
So let's take a break and we'll come right back with Go Ask Your Dad.
Okay. Hey listeners, welcome back to the Dads and Daddies podcast. We've arrived at Go Ask Your Dad. In this segment, we answer listener submitted questions regarding love, life, sex. As a disclaimer, neither Brian nor I are mental health professionals. We just respond to your experiences with ours.
To submit a Go Ask Your Dad question, please send it to dadsanddaddies@gmail.com. Voice memos turn us on the most, and we have one today.
Hey, Dad and Daddy. So I'm looking for a bit of advice for something I've noticed a rise in my relationship. For context, I've been with my partner for almost 9 years. We first started dating in college, and I moved to New York City to be with him. I feel like we've really grown into adulthood, like whatever that means together. And that's all to say he is absolutely my person for life. And we had opened up our relationship only about a year ago. And in that time, I've been exploring my interests in kinks separately. But most of the kinks I've found, he doesn't share. Like, for example, I am really into chastity, but he doesn't care if I'm locked or want to hold my key. And I found that I really like fisting, but he has no interest in it. And for him, he enjoys public cruising, but I almost never want to go with him. I've been trying not to worry about these differences, but when it comes to chastity, like I wonder how an outside key holder would impact our relationship. I would really love any advice on practicing kinks that aren't shared within the relationship, especially one like chastity that doesn't have a clear start and stop. So, like, how would you deal with differing sexual interests in kinks in a relationship? Thanks so much, and I really look forward to hearing your thoughts. And I love the pod. Thanks.
Thank you, listener. Such a good question. I want to speak to a difference in kinks generally, and then chastity specifically.
Okay.
So, whether the listener realizes this or not, I believe, having heard this question, they are making a really beautiful case for the success of an open marriage.
I agree.
This is absolutely your person, and your tastes and interests do not have to align 100%. You are giving each other the freedom to get fisted, giving each other the freedom to cruise. You both are into different things and are always going to come back to each other.
Yep.
So gorgeously aligned with how Brian and I try to de-shame and frame the benefits of an open relationship is the general statement. Chastity specifically. I think a little clarity on what it is for some listeners might be helpful. So for chastity, there is a device, and sometimes it's made of metal, sometimes it's made of plastic, sometimes it fits just over the penis, sometimes the penis and the balls, sometimes it mimics like underwear in such a way. But the person who is locked derives pleasure from wearing this device because they are essentially being subservient to what this listener calls the key holder, the person who literally has the ability to lock or unlock the chastity device. So this listener is asking about what does it look like for me to be in a chastity situation with an outside key holder, because it then does have an effect on his ability to interact with his husband in a way that, like, we'll use his examples, the cruising or the fisting would not. My answer is going to be boring, and it is not going to be surprising, but like open, honest, and direct. This is a conversation that you need to have with your partner.
And with the key holder.
Yeah,
there's two. I 100% agree. I think that, listen, the listener who submitted this question said that there's no clear timeline around chastity. And I think that I take that to be part of the kink, but I think that might be one element that you need to remove in speaking with both partners, saying, hey, or maybe there's a way to fudge it so that there's still some spontaneity and surprise, but within some limits. Just saying like, hey, I cannot be in chastity for longer than X amount of time.
I love that, to put a time bind on it to make it more amenable for the
so you go to your
trio.
partner and you say, listen, I'm gonna have this experience with this other person. How long are you comfortable with me doing that? And then you go to the key holder and say, listen, I want to do this. I don't want to take the element of mystery out of it, but because I'm in this relationship, it cannot last beyond whatever timeline. As somebody who's never played with this kink, I'm not sure if I'm speaking within the rules or not, but as somebody from the outside, that seems to be what makes sense to me.
I think some further clarification around the timing. It's like these devices, because they are literally lock and key, can be left on for days, weeks, months at a time. People always ask like, oh, well, can you pee? Yes, you can still engage in like regular bodily functions. It's just that the chastity device is locked around the penis or the genitals. I think setting a time limit, or even like what might be cool, and I'm just thinking about this now, is in interacting with the key holder, say like, we're going to try this for 3 days. Like you get to hold the key for 3 days and then see how that goes with you and with your husband. And maybe then you can extend it into a week or a month or indefinite, right? There's what's really nicely set up here is if you are communicating openly with both your partner and the key holder, you can try it.
Right.
You can experiment with it for a short amount of time and then see how it goes.
Yeah. As far as there being differences in the kinks between you and your husband, like husband, did we just partner?
I think they said partner.
Yeah. Sorry. I just echo what Judson says, which is that to me, you are clearly so in love. You said this is your person for life. This open relationship allows you to explore these other things, and it is okay if your partner doesn't want to partake in fisting. That's just not part of your sexual relationship. Hopefully you two can find what works for the two of you. So you could, if you want, you can continue to have your own sexual connection, and you just know that the kinks that you like, you will enjoy outside of the relationship. And similarly, you give him his nights out to do the public cruising, and just know that that's part of the open relationship.
A great example for me, and to offer context of my own relationship, is paddling. I love to hold the paddle.
Yes.
I love to be paddled. My husband does not like either of those two things.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the experience of pleasure through pain. And he also doesn't like being quote unquote in charge because he feels like it is hurting.
Right.
Which it can. And for me is the point. That's what feels good. But I just have had to find other people who either will paddle me or that I can paddle because it doesn't exist within the boundaries of my relationship. And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Like it's just a thing that we don't do together. And now, having listened to Brian on this very episode, like we have a new thing to try. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to read through my husband's. I actually think this is perfect because he's still in Provincetown for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So he's probably engaging very heavily online.
Yeah.
And I can just be like, hey, bring home some hot chats because I have an idea.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much for the question. I hope our words were helpful to you. Before we go, I did think of one thing I wanted to talk about, which is a theater recommendation.
Oh, please.
So
our listeners are like, oh my God, we got through an episode without theater.
No,
just
sorry.
Kidding.
We went to go see a show this past week that has just stayed with me. I loved it so much. So, and we've spoken about Josh Sharp and Aaron Jackson in the past. They are a comedy duo. They do improv. They do sketch comedy. Many of you know them as the writers and stars of the movie Dix the Musical.
Guys, if you're listening, please come on the show.
Well, I'm working very hard on getting Josh on the show because Josh now has a one-man show called Ta-Da. And it is a 2,000 slide PowerPoint presentation that he presents in 80 minutes. And I just found it thrilling and moving and funny. And I could not have been happier in that theater. And it's directed by Sam Pinkleton, the director of Oh Mary. And it's at the Greenwich House Theater in the West Village right now. As far as I know right now, it is running through the middle to end of August, but we're recording this right now on July the 20th. I think tomorrow night or sometime this week is opening night. The reviews will be out afterwards. I have to believe they're going to be rave reviews. And so I have to believe the show is going to extend. But it is a very beautiful, personal show, but also like somebody asked me if it was appropriate for teenagers. And I said, well, cum is probably the most used word in the show. So no. But it's very dads and daddies. It's talk about like de-shaming and just it's really, I just could not recommend Josh Sharp's Ta-Da more highly.
2 things. I'm going next Saturday.
Oh, good.
So I already have tickets.
Good.
I'm so excited. Also, the fact that cum comes up so frequently, I think makes it perfect for teenagers. And it reminds me that a friend of mine, to teach her teenage son about sex, they watched Big Mouth together.
Oh, really?
That was her plan. And I was just like, fucking genius.
Well, Brandon Kyle Goodman, one of the writers of Big Mouth, is another dream guest of ours.
Yeah.
We're working on that too.
But it's also like it's so raunchy. Like, it's the best way to discuss sex.
Right.
In the way that these boys are probably talking about it when their moms aren't around.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for the recommendation. I'm excited to go. And also, 2,000 PowerPoints in 80 minutes. I'm going to remember that at work and be like, guys, I saw a show where someone got through 2,000 slides in 80 minutes. We need to keep this moving.
It is so impressive. I mean, that might sound strange to the ear, but it is super impressive. Judson, I'm so glad you're back.
I'm glad to be back. Like I said, when I walked in the door, I was happy to be gone. I'm happy to be back. Every time has its season. I took full advantage of my time out of town, and now I'm back and I'm doing the thing. And not for nothing, my husband's still in P-Town, so I have a 2-week vacation.
Amazing. Thank you all. We will see you in a week.
Bye, everybody.